Hi all and welcome back. In this video I thought I would try and lower the mood, lower the energy, have it a bit more dark and not as upbeat. So in this video for the month of October and the season of Halloween, I thought I would share some of my viewers and some people I know's creepy or scary stories. I hope you enjoy. So this is the first story I was sent in. This occurred when the anonymous source was in high school. Me and my brother were sharing a room, and on a rainy night we were watching TV when we heard our dogs barking outside. And at that point the rain was pouring heavily down, and we decided to go outside to check up on them. As we were getting ready, my brother froze in place and had a terrified look on his face, and pointed towards the doorway, and it made me look. As I looked, I saw what he was looking at, and it was this tall, dark figure looking into the room with hair on its face, and it started to shake its head, and then it disappeared up the stairs, and we didn't dare go towards the door for like 10 minutes. Another more ghosty story from an anonymous viewer. I was a teenager and living at home. My bedroom was directly across the hallway from the kitchen door. I woke one night to the smell of smoke. I looked towards the open bedroom door into the kitchen, and I saw shadows of what seemed to be men sitting around a table playing cards and smoking and drinking. For whatever reason, I just ignored it and went back to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I asked Dad why he was playing cards through the night. He just looked at me like I was mad and said, "What are you talking about?" I told him what had happened. He said I must have been dreaming because nobody had been playing cards there ever, let alone through the night. None of my family smoked. The third story from another anonymous source. I was staying the night at the Monte Cristo homestead, which is referred to as Australia's most haunted house. First thing I heard was women talking and laughing upstairs. So I decided to go have a look and found no one there. I asked the host if there are any other people on site, and he said that me and him were the only ones. Later on, during the ghost tour at night, I had this weird sensation in one room where I felt a cold presence behind me, and then I had this feeling of getting my shirt pulled by something short. I kept looking around and found nothing. It continued for a while until I moved up a bit closer to the group. And as I did that, I was knocked aside by something that ran past me, and it made me scream. As I did that, the host said to not worry, as it was the ghost of a young girl who likes to play with people and is harmless. But to be honest, I nearly had a heart attack. Another creepy story from another anonymous viewer. So my dad and I and my family used to live in this house in Queensland, and it was a 2-story house. And the people who used to live in it before us were the people who owned it and were our landlords. And we were pretty good friends with them, so we used to hang out with them. They were nice people. Anyway, my dad used to work night shifts, and he's working for BHP Billiton, and he's a night manager there, so he would come home really early in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock. That would be like the end of his shift. And he usually would go and have a shower and sit down and have a few beers in the morning and eat something, and then go to bed. So it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. No one else is up. And he gets home and goes to take his shower. And while he's in the shower, he feels like this cold hand touch his back. And he thinks it's my mom, and he goes, F off, it's cold, Jesus Christ. Like he's angry. And he hears, "Where's my granddaughter?" And he's like, "What the F are you talking about?" And he looks around, and Mum's not there. And he's like, "Alright, well, don't know what her problem is." So he gets out of the shower and goes in to find my mum absolutely out of it, snoring her face off. So it's no way it was her. So he goes and checks all the other rooms and doesn't see anyone awake. We are all sleeping. Looks like we have been sleeping for a while. So he thinks, that's weird. And he has had run-ins with presences like that before. So he was like, oh, that's a ghost. So anyway, next time we are over seeing the landlords, we were having a barbecue with them and their kids. And Dad says, I've got to ask you about something. There's something weird in that house. And the landlords kind of look at each other and they're like, what do you mean, weird? And Dad tells them the story of what happened. And he said, I don't know. It felt like there was something weird there. And they say, yeah. That's the previous owner to us. They were an old woman who looked after her granddaughter a lot. And she died in the house. And the granddaughter was taken away a few days later. But she was left there for a couple of days because no one knew that the grandmother had passed away. So now, the story goes that she's always searching for her granddaughter, and so she sometimes wanders around the house and asks to see her. Next story from an anonymous viewer. I was living in a rental, and I was home alone one night. When my eldest son was asleep, I went to get something from my bedroom, only to see a man sitting on the edge of my bed. I stopped dead in my tracks and was speechless. He just looked at me and then disappeared. He was thin and had long, dark brown hair. A little bit of a different story from another anonymous viewer. So when I was younger, I went on a camping trip with my family and some family friends. And on one of the nights, we were sitting around the campfire when my friend's parents started to tell us a story. The story was about a girl who went missing at the campsite and would lure kids into the bush to kill them. So afterwards, we went on a night walk, and we got into the thick trail of the bush. The dad of our friends in front, and the mum at the back. And suddenly the dad bolts forward, catching us by surprise. We turn around, and the mum is nowhere to be seen. We try and chase after the dad, but can't find him, and at this point we are shitting ourselves, because we think that the girl in the story would be coming for us. So we just keep running, and we reach the edge, which opens into the beach. And that's when the dad jumps out and scares the absolute F out of us. A little short story from another anonymous viewer. My son was about 3 to 4 years old, and was laying next to me in my bed, staring and laughing and talking to something up at the ceiling. I asked him what was funny and who he was talking to, and he just replied, Auntie Kathy was funny, and that she was happy where she was. Auntie Kathy was my dead sister. And the final story from another anonymous source. I was in my early 20s, and I was living alone in this flat I had. It was summertime and really hot. I was having trouble sleeping, and sometimes what I do when I have trouble sleeping is I will sleep with my head up the other end of my bed. Or I will sleep sideways, or something. I would try a different position to see if it is more comfortable or helps break up the cycle of not being able to sleep. And also, because it was so hot, I had a glass of ice water that I left on the windowsill that I could reach from where I was sleeping. Anyway, I wake up in the middle of the night and I go to reach for the glass of water, and it feels like I reached for it and have been thrown bodily back into the bed. And like my arm comes up and over, and it feels like I'm being pinned down. And I was terrified. I tried to scream, and I couldn't. My mouth just opened, and nothing came out. Just like this weird sort of rattling noise of breathing really weirdly. And I'm lying there, and I look up, and my eyes are at the ceiling. I can't move my head, so I'm just moving my eyes around, trying to see what was happening. And this shadow form comes over my face. And it looks like, you know, in the movie Signs, they have those weird aliens that look kind of like static, but this is black static. So this big shadow form comes over my head, and I'm freaking out because I think it's a person. I don't know what it is. And I feel this force as if it's trying to enter my body through my open mouth as I'm trying to scream. And I'm trying to close my mouth, and I can't. I can't move. I can't make a sound. all I am thinking is, what the F? Because at this point, I am an atheist, and I had long ago given up the interest in paranormal or anything like that, which I had been interested in my younger years. So I'm thinking, WTF, this is a demon trying to enter my body. Because it's kind of reminded me of Supernatural when the demons enter your body, and it felt like that, like something was trying to invade and take over, like it was conscious, like I could feel it filling out my body underneath my skin, and it felt terrifying. And I'm trying to move and trying to scream and trying to will it out of my body, and I'm drawing on every supernatural thing that I've ever seen, all of the witchcraft knowledge I had in my teenage years, and I'm saying every spell of protection in my head that I can remember. I'm just trying to will this thing out of my body, and it's just creeping further and further, and it was painful. It was so painful, I felt like I was being burned from the inside out. And it got to the point where it felt like it had been hours. It probably was like 5 to 10 seconds, but it felt like forever. And it got to the point where I had to just give up. I just couldn't try and push it out of my body anymore. It was so painful. And I was like, okay, you've got to give up now. And just as I was about to give up, I was like kind of saying the end of this protection spell in my head that I had been chanting. And just as I was about to give up, I was like, if I was about to let it occupy this space, that means it has whatever my soul is, and then I'm never escaping. But as I feel like it's taking over that part of myself, I try and push it out one last time. And for some reason it works. And it leaves my body, and I come to, and I'm just shaking. I start crying. I'm so scared. I slept with the light on for a week after that, and it was so terrifying. And then the scariest part was I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was going crazy. And then I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks later, and I said, dude, I know this sounds crazy, but I need to tell you something. And I told her what it was, and she was like, dude, that's sleep paralysis. And I said, it's what? And she said, look up sleep paralysis. That's a sleep paralysis demon. And it's not real. It's something your brain does. And I looked it up, and I realized that I had had it a bunch of times before, but never with the demon. But I had other versions of it, and I still get it now. But I've never had the demon one again. So those were all the creepy stories I have for you today. I hope you were sufficiently creeped out by some of them, and I hope you enjoy your night. Right. Bye, guys.